Hello, it's Thursday, November 21st. It's 2024, and I'm happy to see you. It's After the Gig. I'm Jesse. Welcome to the podcast. As always, I'm here back in my podcasting studio. I'm off the road for a little bit, and it's been a fun couple of weeks. It was my birthday. I think it was about 11 days ago was my birthday. So that was really fun. Got to spend it in, where was I? Somewhere outside of Philly. We played a private house party, and it was really, really nice. Had a nice time, nice weekend playing the Sinclair, playing in New York. It was great. Lots of family, lots of good stuff. It was fun. Just out there doing the thing. I thought I'd come down here and do a solo podcast here. I've had a lot of stuff going on. The newsletter is out from this past Sunday. The newsletter has been kicking on all syllables, on all cylinders. And it's been super fun to write. Kind of transitioned a little bit more from the music news stuff, which just wasn't very interesting to me or really anyone else. And, just had to adapt to that. And I thought it was just a little bit more organic and a little bit more honest, just kind of sharing insights about being in the music industry and insights about how I approached things when I was young and how I would do things differently, my experiences. Maybe they, going through that could help somebody else out. And kind of how they apply to how I've, to my career and how I've kind of lived my life up until this point. So it's been great. Can't complain. No complaints. The only thing I can complain about is that I have nowhere to put this New England Music Award that I won on my birthday, which is kind of crazy. Out of nowhere, got nominated for a New England Music Award. I have no idea why. I released one song in December 2023, so almost a year since I've released any music. I played a lot of solo gigs, but a lot of them are cover gigs and things like that. I don't know who did it or why I really got nominated for it, but we found out a couple of days before I was nominated. And I had no expectation to win this thing, but Genevieve was awesome and kind of led the charge to get a bunch of votes. And we put a couple posts out, and then we Carbon Leaf shared the post, which was awesome, which was a big help. But we had 2 days when everyone had a month, and we have this thing right here. So some of the other nominees were Addressing the Dead, Benjamin Quinn, Gearsham. It's a bad name. Got to change that name. Me, Last Self, one word. Leaving Irene, who the lead singer of that band actually reached out to me to congratulate me, which was awesome. Space Cowboy Newt, Survivors of the Kraken, Vanta Black, and Zenith. I'd never heard of any of these groups, but on November 10th, down at the Six String Bar and Grill, they announced me, and here it is. New England Music Award, Rising Star, Rhode Island, Jesse Humphrey. This really cool silver record, which is awesome. So I'm very happy about that. I got to find a place to put it. Maybe I can combine a woodworking project with that. That'd be fun. That'd be actually pretty cool. So moving on, next week's newsletter is about health of all things. So I'm not the healthiest dude in the world, as you can see, but one guy I know is, and his name's John Markle. So he's everyone's favorite guest. And I asked him a series of questions, and I asked him to answer them. And he did that, and he did a really, really great job. So I'm excited to share those things and how he stays so consistent on the road as far as his health is concerned, like whether it's the food or the working out or just being in the different place and feeling self-conscious. Like, I'm projecting my own feelings onto, via my questions. And it was really, really interesting to hear his take because, like, he just doesn't have the same blocks as a lot of other people do. Like for me, it's that self-conscious. Like I don't want to work out in front of people. I even have trouble at a gym working out in front of people. So that's a challenge for me. We go through the pre-tour mindset, goals that you want to accomplish and kind of what you think about what John's ideology behind health and fitness are and what kind of goals he has. The plan as far as workout goals are when he's on the road, how he approaches it, whether the length of the tour matters or whether the time of day matters, how much time he has to work out a day. Again, the self-consciousness thing. What do you tell yourself if you don't really feel like doing it, if you had a long day of travel and things like that. And then we go into the food stuff. So like a lot of the cool stuff that John does is he prepares a lot of food and he has a couple of go-to things and a couple of substitutions that make it not as boring, a little bit more interesting for him. And like, he's so disciplined whenever, Carter and Terry and I will go out for dinner, he makes his food and that's his meal. And that's what his thing, that's what he does. And it's like super, super regimented and super disciplined. But yeah, that's something that is going to be in this Sunday's issue of the After the Gig newsletter. And if you want to subscribe to that, it's free. You can click down below. I'll put a link in the description. Last week on the podcast, I had Ed Velasquez. He was episode number 130. And it was an interesting conversation. We talked a lot about music, a lot about just where the music industry is today. And I alluded to the fact that, a lot more people have the ability to record at home. So he was kind of like, he defended studios like Q Division, like the ones that like the one he works out of every day, and how important it is to have, great recorded drums and how those places kind of pivot to do more voiceover stuff and a lot of different things. Like they film in their studio now because they have a great space in Studio A, and it was just a really great place to kind of check out. If you are anywhere around Somerville or Boston in the area, call Q Division if you're a musician, you want to check out the studio, because it's a really cool place and a lot of great musicians have recorded there, and it's really cool to check out. And I think, they let me in, so I guess I think you could take a tour of the place. It would be pretty cool. But another thing I discussed last week is just how to get through a lot of the obstacles that we face as artists and musicians, and a lot of people face all the time. I put here that everyone is capable of a productivity superpower. And to put it in plain and simple terms, it's about dividing things up into little bite-sized pieces that you can accomplish and create as many wins as possible along the way. A lot of people, including myself, get into this thing where they don't understand what the first step is. They just see, this person on TV that's gotten all this stuff. They have the car, they have the house, they have they play big stadiums, or they do whatever. They have a podcast or something like that. And they just don't break down the fact that, or they don't understand or see the fact that those things took a lot of little steps and a lot of failures and a lot of learning moments and a lot of things that needed to be adjusted to be able to get to that point. And you're just seeing the end result. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into doing anything. And my example as far as music is like, yeah, it's hard to have the creative, it's not the easiest thing in the world to write a song. So for some people it is, some people it isn't. And the whole thing is anybody can have an idea. Anybody can have this little tiny idea, record it into their phone, be like, oh, wow, that's great. It's what you do after that that is what really matters, because you could take that idea and then, okay, that's going to be like this. And then, okay, this part, that's not working. You could also give up there, or you could try something different. And then you constantly are doing those things. You're like forcing yourself, going forward, hitting a wall. All right, figure it out, go forward, hit another wall. This happens in every little thing, and you just can't give up. You just can't give up on it. You have to keep on working it out in small little snippets and figuring things out. Finding the right thing to do isn't always as good as just trying a bunch of stuff and throwing things at the wall and trying to figure it out as you go, because that's the only way that anyone figures anything out. Nobody knows everything right off the bat, and everything has to be figured out and cobbled together until it's done. You know what I mean? So the other thing is surrounding yourself and sharing work with people that you trust and people that aren't going to discourage you. I used to send my stuff out way too early, and maybe to a couple people that just didn't, they tried to put their own they tried to put their own fingerprint on it. And that's not like what you want. You want someone to point out something that they like, and something that sticks out to them as strange. I have a couple of people that do that are really good, and they make me want to fix it. They make me want to go forward and be creative, even more creative. But I've had other people that have tried to pick apart every little piece and then just basically write their own version of it. And it's not, and abide by rules and whatever that they have for themselves. And it's not a helpful thing as far as getting anything out there. Like, you're going to have to make your own mistakes. You're going to have to find your own voice. You're going to have to put things out there. And yeah, it does matter. There are rules, and it does matter that, like, certain things happen. You want the listener to be engaged all the way through. How you do that is how you do that, between tension and storytelling and whatever, instrumentation, lyrics, chords, theory, all those things play into it. And if you're writing something, like, you want the first line to make the person read the second line, to make it's that kind of thing. So you just have to keep trying stuff, but don't ever let someone else stifle your creativity or just make you feel like it's not worth posting. 'Cause it is. Like, you never know when you're going to write something cool. Like, everything I wrote up until the last tune, Chemical, that won me this award, I guess. Wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. Just something kind of clicked with that song. So, that's what I would say. And that's the big takeaway. It's just like, do it. If you want to do something, I didn't take up photography for the longest time because I had friends that were really good at photography, like really fucking good. And it's just, I didn't want those people to see what I did, what I came up with. But what it took was tons and tons of YouTube tutorials, like every little thing, editing tutorials, framing stuff and experimentation. I had to get a certain quality of gear to be able to do the things I wanted. But then once I started photographing with the camera that I currently use now, which is the one I'm staring into, I found that I could take shots with my phone and then edit them the same way I would. And like, I could get a cool thing going, and it would be another interesting, way of, or a form of expression as far as photography is concerned. So that was a really cool thing. A lot of the limitations that I have recording music at home, like the drums I have here are great. I have amazing instruments and stuff, which is like half the battle, but you don't always have to have those things. You just have to have something that sounds, right for what you're doing, and try to mic it the best you possibly can. And and you can actually like get some cool stuff. So for example, like I was listening to a tune, someone sent me something, and the song wasn't bad, but the production of the song was something that completely took me out of it. Because the drums sounded like, oh, hey, this is how I'm supposed to record drums, and this is how I've always done it, and I always get this same sound. I use the same kick drum. It always sounds like this. I mic it like this. It was just, it didn't match the way that it was mic'd, and the way that the drum sounded didn't match the rest of the song and the rest of the sounds in the song. It didn't match the guitar sound, didn't match anything. Like the mix was just really weird when it came to the drums, which completely took me out of the song. It was so distracting. So one of the things that I think is important if you're creating something, and again, this is my rule for myself, and you do whatever you want to do, but if something is distracting to the point where you can't listen to the song or you can't enjoy the song and it's all you can think about, it's like, oh, that sounds like shit. Like I've listened to records of bands that like the ride cymbal that they're using on the ride pat on, the chorus or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, it's so weak. Like, why does it sound like that? And it just seems like these basic principles, like, oh, this is how this should go. And then anything beyond that is like production decisions, but that's my thing. Like, I just don't like anything to distract. I like it all to kind of blend and work together. Which I think is, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something where something famous that the production really stood out as like, wow, I can't believe they made that choice. And nothing is really jumping out at me. If I think of something, which I'm sure I will after I'm done recording this, I will post it later, or I'll put it on the next podcast. But other than that, guys, I don't have a ton today. I have the weekend off, so I'm going to do some fun family stuff. And then next week is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. If you are not signed up to the After the Gig newsletter, please do that. That would be great. That'd be great. And also, and also After the Gig is on Patreon. My most recent post here is I did a cool photography video of exploring Dunluce Castle in Ireland. And you guys know, I just talked about it, how important and therapeutic photography is for me. It's my favorite hobby. So I love it. I really do. And we got to do this hike through Dunluce Castle, which is a super old castle on the Causeway Coast, which is the north coast of Ireland. And you walk down, and I took a bunch of photos, and I show them all in this video. And it's me and my wife and Ethan. And we go through there, and that video is on Patreon right now. There's that, as well as about 60 something other posts. So yeah, you guys can all check that out. And I want to thank the patrons that I have on here. Barbara Lovelace, Jenny, Bill, Bunsaroo, Brian Stewart, Mike Birch, Barb Boynest, Tom, Susan Burke, Robin Sterren, Shelly Ann, Christine Huey, Jeff Hastings, Thea Brophy, Adrian, Glenn Nelson, Erica Sullivan, my wife, Genevieve Dunn. It's not Genevieve Humphrey. My wife, Marjorie O'Rourke, Lynn Simpson, Kate, Leah, JM, not full names, Ann Stern, Emily Stewart, Adam Pod, Rebecca Kelly, Trip Fuller, Greg Klimzak, out of Chicago, Susan Wingfield, Kim Hunt, Jessica and Matt Whitehead, Joel Shaw, Dave Miller, Kay Bechtold, Sheila Korn, Louisa Ruda, my sister, Kenzie, Trezise, extras ice. We had this debate the other day. Kathy Vare, Jessica Maxon, Bob Sterren, Chris Frappier, Robbie Manning, Stacey Doses, Monette Dalal, Crystal Lovett, Christina Spillman, Liz Taylor, and Heather Dawn. Thank you all so much. I appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to be one of those patrons on there, go to patreon.com/afterthegig and join up at a tier level of your choosing. That is all from me. I'll see you all on the road, and goodbye.